what builders have had an influence on you or your guitars over the years?
Oh, gosh. I would say, well, probably growing up in the 70s, my teacher had a Ramirez, and I thought that was the best guitar I'd ever heard in my life. And then he got an Uribe, and I thought, oh, that was the best guitar I've ever heard in my life. And I was influenced by Uribes. And then later, I was influenced by Fleta. Dean Kamai, guitar solo in San Francisco, it was back in '83. He got an '83 Fleta, brand new, and I used to go down there and play that guitar and take a look at it and stuff. And I was really kind of at a crossroads between spruce and cedar. In the Bay Area in the early '80s, John Gilbert dominated everything. Everybody in the world played his guitars, and they were spruce. And when I saw that Fleta, it had kind of the qualities of spruce, the clarity, but also the warmth of cedar. And so I was attracted to that, and I decided at that point to build a lot. Nobody back in the Bay Area was building cedar guitars because it was this total kind of rejection of the Spanish Ramirez sound into the Gilbert kind of clarity, neutrality of spruce. And I just, really was attracted to the cedar sound. And so I built a lot of guitars based on Fleta. And then, of course, I got tired of that. And then my friend Tannenbaum, David Tannenbaum, he got a Friedrich, which I liked a lot when I saw that. And I started kind of investigating his bracing and stuff, and I do pretty much kind of an offshoot of Friedrich's bracing, which is almost a fan lattice Friedrich does. I mean, he does a fan brace, but it's a fan brace. They're not straight like a grid, but he has a bunch of cross braces inside. And I thought that made a lot of sense. So I kind of do that. And on that's for the cedar guitars. And then, so I would say, Friedrich and Fleta. I had a Romanios that I owned once, and I never went that route. I don't particularly like Hausers. They're these kind of introverted spruce guitars. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I actually try to stay away from listening to too many guitars because I can go crazy.
Too much temptation to change things, I would imagine.
Well, yeah, you hear a little bit in everybody's guitar that you like, but so it's trying to take a little bit from here, a little bit from there. And I just, I know the sound I like, and I just try to go for that. And if I get around too many different guitars, I don't do well.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the 19th century guitars that you've been building lately?
Yeah, that came about, maybe 8 years ago, I got real interested in playing lute. And so I started building lots of lutes, and I cut my fingernails off, and I played nothing but Baroque lute and Renaissance lute. And I actually hated the sound of the guitar. I got to this point where I didn't want to make guitars anymore, I just want to make lutes. And but during that period, I longed to play guitar, so I figured that the best solution was to build a 19th century guitar. So when you get into lutes and stuff, you start thinking historical accuracy and stuff like that, and So I built a number of 19th century guitars, mainly for myself to play. And so that then it became a little obsessive. But since about 5 years ago, I haven't made a lute. And actually, I'm at the reverse now. I can't stand the sound of the lute, and I only like guitars. So it's but it was a good opportunity for me to make lutes because I learned a lot about early building techniques and stuff like that. But yeah, I really like the repertoire of the 19th century guitar, and I think they're a different sound. The modern guitar has a very boomy, airy, bouncy, kind of percussive bass sound. And the 19th century guitars have a very firm, kind of pianistic sound. You know, the basses are very firm, they sustain. And a friend of mine, Gary Stewart, who bought the latest one, I think he's now completely given up the modern guitar and is playing only the 19th century guitar. I don't know, do you know Gary?
Yeah, I saw him play, actually. I heard your guitar.
Oh, he cut his nails off,
He
and
did.
he's playing gut strings now. He's strung it up with gut strings.
Oh,
And now he wants me to make him a Torres copy that is specifically made for gut strings. So
yeah.
it's a challenge because you know there's a huge difference between gut and nylon and silk or silver wound basses. You know, back in the days of Torres, they were very lightly constructed guitars. And what Torres, I think, was trying to do was trying to get a lot of bass out of the guitar because I don't know if you've ever played these authentic strings. Like in Pujol's method, he gives dimensions for these strings. And they're silk core with metal wound basses. And they're really just deader than a doornail. You put them on the guitar and they're just like nothing, you know, like you know. And then you put the gut trebles on, and they have more density than nylon, and they're much brighter sounding. So, you know, I think for that time they were trying to tone down the treble and give it more bass. But in a modern era, now we have these basses with nylon cores that just ring forever on a modern guitar, and then you've got the nylon that don't have the actual weight and density of the gut.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a different thing. You know, when people try to copy Torres, exactly his thicknesses and stuff, you got to take into account the strings they were using.